The starship's navigation console cast a pale blue glow across Kizera's crystalline scales as they studied the contract details floating before them. 2,000,000 credits, more than enough to retire to the outer rim worlds, enough to disappear forever. The target, Admiral Sarah Chen, the human who'd managed to unite 17 previously warring colonies under Earth's banner in less than a standard year. Kizera's inner eyelids flickered, a gesture their species made when contemplating risk versus reward. As a void-born assassin, they'd built their reputation on perfect execution and absolute discretion. In 3 centuries of wet work, they'd never failed a contract. But something about this one felt different. Client insists on confirmation within the next solar hour, the encrypted message pulsed. Time-sensitive operation. The Voidborn's retractable claws extended and retracted rhythmically as they processed the information. The Galactic Council was nervous about humanity's rapid expansion and unification. That much was clear. What remained unclear was why they'd chosen this particular moment to act. Chen's diplomatic approach had brought stability to a notoriously chaotic sector of space. Kizera's ship computer chirped, displaying intelligence feeds from the target sector. Chen's latest victory, negotiating peace between the Mars separatists and Earth's central government, had made headlines across known space. The images showed a tall human female with close-cropped gray hair and eyes that seemed to pierce through the viewer. She wore the midnight blue uniform of Earth's combined fleet, but unlike most military leaders, she carried no visible weapons. Contract accepted, Kizera transmitted, their clawed fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Payment details confirmed. Execution window, 14 standard days. The response came instantly, acknowledged. Verification codes and access protocols attached. Note: target maintains significant security presence. Traditional methods may prove insufficient. Kizera allowed themselves a small hiss of amusement. They'd eliminated targets in the heart of the Arcturus defense network, infiltrated the supposedly impenetrable vault cities of the Silicon Collective. Human security, no matter how advanced, would pose no significant challenge. Yet as their ship's quantum drive spooled up for the jump to Earth-controlled space, Kizera found themselves reviewing Chen's public appearances again. There was something in the way she carried herself, something in those eyes that suggested she saw more than she revealed. In 3 centuries of killing, Kizera had learned to trust their instincts. Display target's psychological profile, they commanded. The ship's AI complied, projecting a detailed analysis of Chen's known behaviors and patterns. Former tactical instructor. Expert in asymmetrical warfare. Known for unconventional solutions to seemingly impossible problems. And most importantly, never lost a battle she chose to fight. Kizera's primary heart beat faster as they absorbed the information. This was no simple military leader, no bureaucrat playing at warfare. This was someone who had risen from Earth's ashes during the colony wars, someone who had outmaneuvered both human and alien opponents consistently for decades. The quantum drive hummed to life, preparing to tear a hole through reality. Kizera's ship would emerge in Earth space, looking like any other merchant vessel, its true nature hidden beneath layers of falsified credentials and scrambled signatures. The perfect predator, designed for a single purpose. As the stars beyond the viewscreen began to stretch and distort, Kizera accessed their weapons locker. Inside lay an arsenal collected from 100 worlds, monomolecular blades, quantum phase disruptors, neurotoxins engineered for human physiology. They selected their tools with practiced precision, each one chosen for its ability to circumvent standard security measures. The ship's AI interrupted their preparations. Analysis complete. Warning: target's security protocols show unusual patterns. Standard infiltration approaches show 97% probability of detection. Kizera paused, their secondary heart joining the first in an accelerated rhythm. Explain. Security rotations appear random but contain hidden patterns. Surveillance coverage exceeds normal parameters by 300%. Conclusion. Target's defensive measures suggest preparation for assassination attempt. For the first time in recent memory, Kizera felt something approaching doubt. Not fear. Fear was an emotion they'd engineered out of their system centuries ago. But doubt. Doubt was the whisper of instinct, the accumulated wisdom of countless successful hunts. "Show me the patterns," they commanded. The AI displayed a complex web of security rotations, patrol routes, and surveillance coverage. To an untrained eye, it would appear chaotic, perhaps even inefficient. But Kizera saw what the AI had detected, layers within layers, each one designed to funnel potential threats into predetermined kill zones. "She's expecting someone," Kizera whispered to themselves. But who? And why now? The quantum drive reached its peak, reality split open, and the ship plunged into the void between stars. In the 14 days of travel ahead, Kizera would plan, analyze, and prepare. But for the first time in centuries, they found themselves wondering if they truly understood the game they were playing. As Earth's sun grew from a distant point of light to a burning disk on their view screen, Kizera made a decision. They would approach this contract differently. No swift strike from the shadows, no quick death in the night. First, they would understand their target, understand why the Galactic Council feared this human enough to pay such an extraordinary sum for her death. After all, in 3 centuries of killing, Kizera had learned one universal truth. When the price was this high, the simple explanation was never the correct one. Earth's orbital lanes bustled with more traffic than Kizera had anticipated. Merchant vessels, diplomatic shuttles, and military patrols wove intricate patterns through the void, their movements suggesting both prosperity and vigilance. From their vantage point aboard a nondescript trading vessel, Kizera watched Admiral Chen's flagship, the ECS Concordia, dock at the massive orbital command station Alpha. 7 days had passed since their arrival in Earth space. 7 days of careful observation, of gathering intelligence that went far beyond their standard mission parameters. What they'd learned had only deepened their unease about the contract. The humans called Chen the Peacemaker, but that title barely scratched the surface of her accomplishments. In the past month alone, she prevented 3 potential wars through a combination of diplomatic finesse and carefully calculated shows of force. The Concordia never fired a shot, yet somehow its presence alone was enough to bring hostile parties to the negotiating table. Kizera's neural implants processed another burst of intercepted communications. Chen was scheduled to address the Colonial Assembly in person, a rare occurrence that would present an obvious opportunity for assassination. Too obvious. Display surveillance footage, Section 7 Alpha. Kizera commanded their ship's eye. The holographic display showed Chen walking through the Concordia's hydroponics garden, accompanied only by a young human female in civilian clothes. No visible security detail, though Kizera's enhanced senses detected the subtle distortions of active camouflage systems. The Admiral was never truly alone. "You're sure about this approach?" the younger human was asking. "The Centauri delegation won't take it well." Chen's response was accompanied by a slight smile that Kizera had come to recognize over days of observation. It usually preceded something unexpected. "They're not supposed to take it well, Maya. They're supposed to understand that we're serious about enforcing the non-proliferation treaty, even if it costs us in the short term." Kizera's primary heart skipped a beat. The Centauri non-proliferation treaty, the very agreement their employers had cited as a threat to galactic stability. Yet watching Chen navigate these diplomatic waters, they began to see a pattern emerging. The Admiral wasn't just preventing wars. She was systematically dismantling the profit mechanisms that made war profitable in the first place. Each treaty, each negotiation, closed another avenue for the arms dealers and conflict profiteers who had grown fat on centuries of human division. Kizera's claws extended unconsciously as they accessed their secure channel to the client. "Request clarification on contract parameters." Target's actions appear to promote stability rather than threaten it. The response came with unusual speed. Parameters unchanged. Target's apparent stability masks dangerous consolidation of power. Execute as planned. But Kizara had spent too long in the shadows to accept such simplistic explanations. They switched their focus to a different feed. Chen's private quarters aboard the Concordia. The Admiral sat at her desk, surrounded by holographic displays showing troop movements, resource allocations, and diplomatic communiques. Computer, Chen spoke to her eye. Show me the pattern analysis of those armed shipments we intercepted last week. The display shifted, revealing a complex web of shell companies and hidden transactions. Kizara felt their scales ripple with surprise. Chen wasn't just tracking illegal weapons, she was mapping the entire shadow economy that had kept the galaxy in a state of perpetual conflict. Cross-reference with known syndicate operations in the Outer Rim, Chen continued. I want to know if our friends in the Council are really as neutral as they claim. Kizara's secondary heart nearly stopped. Could it be? Was Chen already aware of the forces aligned against her? More importantly, did she know about the contract? A new transmission interrupted their surveillance. Target will attend emergency session of Colonial Defense Committee at 800 hours tomorrow. Opportunity confirmed. Execute. Kizara's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as they processed this information against everything they'd observed. The timing was wrong. The setup was wrong. Every instinct honed over centuries of successful operations screamed that this was a trap. But there was something else bothering them now, something that went beyond professional caution. In all their years of killing, they'd never questioned the broader implications of their contracts. Assassination was a tool, nothing more. A means to maintain the delicate balance of power that kept the galaxy functioning. Yet watching Chen work, seeing the careful way she constructed her web of alliances and agreements, Kizara began to understand something their employers clearly feared. True stability didn't come from balance of power, but from systematic change. Display all available data on Target's family connections. Kizara commanded their eye. The results were surprising. Chen had no family, no close personal connections beyond her professional relationships. Like Kizara, she had sacrificed everything in pursuit of her goals. Unlike Kizara, those goals seemed to extend beyond personal gain or factional advantage. As the Concordia's lights dimmed to simulate night, Kizara made another unprecedented decision. They opened a secure channel not to their employers, but to a network of information brokers they'd cultivated over centuries. Priority request. They transmitted. Need complete intelligence on Galactic Council's recent closed session meetings. Particular focus on human expansion policy discussions. Cost no object. The response would take time. Perhaps more time than they had before the scheduled assassination window. But Kizara had learned patience in their long life. If their suspicions were correct, this contract was more than a simple elimination mission. It was a test. But who exactly was testing whom? The lights of Earth's orbital installations continued their endless dance below, and somewhere in that maze of ships and stations, Admiral Chen continued her work, unaware, or perhaps very aware, that she was being watched by the galaxy's most lethal assassin. Tomorrow would bring its own answers. For now, Kizara had another night of surveillance ahead, and more questions than they'd had in centuries. The Colonial Defense Committee meeting was scheduled for the lowest level of Orbital Command Station Alpha, in a reinforced chamber designed to withstand direct missile strikes. Kizara had spent the last 6 hours analyzing every possible entry point, every security measure, and every escape route. Their conclusion remained unchanged. This was almost certainly a trap. Yet here they were, sliding through the station's maintenance shafts with their active camouflage engaged, following the path their employers had so conveniently provided. Their information brokers had finally responded, but Kizara hadn't had time to process the full data package. Only one detail had stood out. 3 members of the Galactic Council had resigned suddenly, 2 days before the assassination contract was issued. The chamber's primary entrance came into view, guarded by 4 Marines in powered armor. Kizera ignored it, continuing through the maintenance shaft toward their designated infiltration point. Their enhanced hearing picked up voices from within the chamber. The committee meeting had already begun. The evidence is irrefutable. Chen's voice carried clearly through the ventilation system. Someone on the council has been actively sabotaging our peace efforts. The weapons shipments, the leaked intelligence, the coordinated media campaigns, it all points to a systematic attempt to keep humanity divided. Kizera froze. This wasn't the scheduled agenda. This wasn't even close to what their intelligence suggested would be discussed. Their claws extended involuntarily as they accessed their secure channel to their employers. No response. Display full analysis of received intelligence package. They subvocalized to their neural implants. The data streamed across their enhanced vision, painting a picture they should have seen sooner. The 3 resigned council members hadn't just stepped down. They'd disappeared completely. And the timing. A soft click echoed through the maintenance shaft. Kizera's enhanced reflexes triggered instantly, but even they weren't fast enough to react to what came next. The localized EMP burst fried their active camouflage, while magnetic fields suddenly activated, pinning them against the shaft's wall. I have to admit, Chen's voice came through clearly, no longer muffled by the walls. I expected you 3 days ago. The hydroponics garden would have been a much better choice for an attempt. Kizera's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as they processed their situation. The maintenance shaft's wall had silently retracted, exposing them to the chamber. The committee members were gone. Only Chen remained, standing calmly at the center of the room. The garden was too obvious, Kizera responded, their translator converting their sibilant speech into standard galactic common. As was this. Chen smiled, that same slight smile Kizera had observed so many times through surveillance. Yet you came anyway. I suppose we both needed to understand why. The magnetic fields adjusted, allowing Kizera to face the Admiral directly while still keeping them restrained. No weapons were pointed at them, Kizera noticed. Either extreme confidence or extreme foolishness. The Council fears you, Kizera stated, but not for the reasons they claimed. They fear what I've discovered, Chen corrected, stepping closer. About the true purpose of keeping humanity fractured. About the shadow economy that's been profiting from our conflicts for centuries. About the 3 council members who tried to warn me and subsequently vanished. Kizera's primary heart rate increased. The contract was never about eliminating a threat. No, Chen agreed. It was about sending a message. To me, to Earth, to anyone who might think about disrupting the carefully maintained chaos that keeps certain parties in power. She paused, studying Kizera with those penetrating eyes. But they made a crucial mistake. They chose me, Kizera finished, finally understanding. They chose someone known for being methodical, someone who would observe before acting, someone who might notice that things didn't quite add up. Chen was close enough now that Kizera could see the faint scars on her face, marks from battles long past. Someone who might realize they were being used to eliminate the wrong threat. The magnetic fields shifted again, releasing their hold entirely. Kizera dropped silently to the chamber floor, their weapon systems remaining inactive. You have evidence. Chen nodded toward a holographic display that sprang to life beside them. Everything I've gathered over the past 5 years. Financial records, communication logs, blackmail material, enough to expose the entire operation. But I needed something else, something to prove that the Council was willing to resort to assassination rather than risk exposure. Me, Kizera said softly. You let me get this close to prove they authorized the hit. And to give you a choice, Chen added. The same choice those 3 council members faced. You can complete your contract. Though I should warn you, this entire conversation is being broadcast live to every major news network in human space. Or I can help you expose the truth, Kizera finished. Their inner eyelids flickered as they processed the implications. 3 centuries of perfect contracts, of maintaining the status quo, all leading to this moment. Why did you really accept this contract? Chen asked quietly. Was it the money? Or did you sense something larger at play? Kizera's claws extended and retracted as they considered the question. In 3 centuries, I've never failed a contract. Then perhaps it's time to succeed at something more important. The chamber's lights reflected off Kizera's crystalline scales as they made their decision. In the end, it wasn't really a choice at all. They'd known something was wrong from the moment they accepted the contract. Perhaps they'd wanted to understand why. Perhaps they'd wanted a reason to break their own chains. The council will respond with force, Kizera warned. Chen's smile widened slightly. I'm counting on it. That's why I needed someone with your particular skill set on my side. The question is, are you ready to help remake the galaxy rather than maintain its corruption? Kizera's secondary heart fell into rhythm with their primary, a sign of commitment among their species. Where do we begin? We already have, Chen replied, gesturing to the still active broadcast feeds. The real question is, what happens next? The answer, Kizera suspected, would reshape the galaxy in ways neither their employers nor the council had ever imagined. And for the first time in centuries, they found themselves looking forward to an uncertain future. The first assassination attempt came 6 hours after the broadcast. Kizera detected the neural disruptor beam seconds before it would have struck Chen, their crystalline scales refracting the invisible energy harmlessly away. The would-be assassin never had time to try again. Sloppy, Kizera commented, examining the neural transmitter they'd extracted from the attacker's quartz. Amateur work. They're panicking, Chen replied, not looking up from the holographic displays surrounding her makeshift command center aboard the Concordia. The flagship had departed Orbital Command Station Alpha immediately after the broadcast, but not before downloading everything from the station's quantum servers. The council never expected their entire operation to be exposed so publicly. Kizera's inner eyelids flickered as they processed the incoming data streams. The galaxy was in chaos. The broadcast had reached every major population center in known space, triggering riots on some worlds and revolution on others. 3 more council members had vanished in the past hour alone. They'll try to discredit the evidence, Kizera noted, their claws extending unconsciously as they analyzed attack patterns in the data. Claim it's human propaganda. Let them try. Chen finally looked up, those penetrating eyes showing not triumph but grim determination. We're not just fighting with information anymore. Watch this. A new holographic window opened, showing a massive fleet emerging from quantum space near the Centauri border. Kizera recognized the ships immediately. The same design used by the mercenary armies that had kept human colonies fighting each other for centuries. The Council's iron fist, Chen explained unnecessarily. Officially unaffiliated, but we both know who really commands them. They're making their move earlier than I expected. Kizera's secondary heart accelerated. You knew this would happen. I counted on it. Chen's slight smile appeared. Everything they do now only proves what we've revealed, but we're not done yet. She turned to face Kizera fully. I need to know exactly who you worked with in the council. Every contact, every intermediary, every encrypted channel. Kizera hesitated for the first time since their confrontation in the committee chamber. 3 centuries of professional discretion, warred with their new understanding of the galaxy's true power structure. Your old life ended the moment you chose not to kill me, Chen said softly. The question is, what will you build in its place? Before Kizera could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. Multiple quantum space ruptures detected. Signatures match Council enforcement vessels. Time to weapon range, 6 minutes. Chen didn't appear surprised. If anything, her smile widened slightly. Right on schedule. Kizera, I need your decision now. The next few minutes will determine whether we expose the greatest conspiracy in galactic history or die trying. Kizera's claws extended fully as they accessed their neural implants. Centuries of accumulated data, contact information, and encrypted channels. Everything that had made them the galaxy's most effective assassin began streaming to the Concordia's secure servers. Remarkable, Chen murmured, watching the data flow. The Council's been playing this game for longer than I imagined. These channels go back to the first human colonies. They engineered every major conflict. Kizera confirmed, their translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in their native speech. Created artificial scarcity, funded opposing factions, eliminated anyone who came close to exposing the truth. I was their instrument more times than I knew. The ship shuddered as its quantum shields activated. On the tactical displays, the Council vessels were moving into attack formation. But Chen's attention remained focused on the historical data Kizera had provided. "Look at this pattern," she said, highlighting a series of seemingly unrelated assassinations over the past century. Every time a human world came close to true independence, every time someone proposed a unified economic system that might have broken their control. She trailed off, looking at Kizera with new understanding. "I was not the first of my kind they employed," Kizera admitted. "My species' natural abilities made us ideal for their purposes, but I was the most effective. And now you're their worst nightmare," Chen replied. "An insider with every secret they ever trusted you with, combined with the evidence we've gathered. But we'll need more than information to survive the next few minutes." The tactical displays showed more ships emerging from quantum space. Council enforcers, mercenary fleets, and what appeared to be half the Centauri Navy. The Concordia, despite its advanced technology, was hopelessly outnumbered. "You have a plan," Kizera stated. It wasn't a question. "I have several," Chen confirmed. "But they all required something I wasn't sure I'd get. Someone who knows how the Council really operates. Someone who can help me do more than just expose the truth." Kizera's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as they processed the implications. "You want to destroy them completely." "Not destroy," Chen corrected. "Replace. The galaxy needs organization, needs structure. But it needs honest brokers, not shadow manipulators profiting from manufactured conflicts." She paused as another volley of mural disruptor beams splashed harmlessly against the Concordia's shields. "The question is, are you ready to help build something rather than just tear things down?" The ship's AI interrupted again. Enemy vessels in firing position. Multiple weapons locks detected. Kizera looked at the tactical displays, their enhanced senses detecting patterns in the enemy fleet's formation that others might have missed. Patterns they could exploit. "You never intended the Concordia to fight them alone." Chen's smile returned. "Like I said, I have several plans. The broadcast wasn't just about exposing the truth, it was a signal." As if on cue, new quantum space ruptures began appearing behind the enemy fleet. Ships of every design and origin, independent traders, colonial defense forces, even some bearing Council markings, emerged into normal space. "Your revolution has already begun," Kizera realized. "Our revolution," Chen corrected, "if you're willing to see it through." Kizera's primary and secondary hearts synchronized as they made their final choice. Their claws extended fully as they turned to the tactical displays, already identifying weak points in the enemy formation. "Tell me where to start." The battle lasted 3 days. Not the quick, decisive engagement the Council's forces had expected, but a grinding war of attrition that spread across 7 star systems. Kizera watched it unfold from the Concordia's tactical center, their enhanced senses processing the complex dance of ships and strategies with a clarity they'd never before applied to open warfare. "Third wave incoming," they announced, their claws moving across the holographic controls. "Council enforcers, trying to flank our position near Europa." Chen nodded, her uniform showing signs of wear after 72 hours of continuous combat. "They're still following old doctrines, still thinking in terms of traditional fleet actions." She turned to the communications array. "All ships, execute pattern Sierra 7. Let's show them how humanity fights when we're united." Kizora watched in fascination as the apparently scattered human vessels suddenly moved with perfect coordination. Merchant ships revealed hidden weapon systems. Civilian transports dropped their disguise, showing the military hardware beneath. Even the smallest ships played their part in an intricate ballet of destruction that left the Council's forces in chaos. "You've been planning this for years," Kizera realized, their inner eyelids flickering as they processed the implications. "Every ship, every captain, every apparent civilian vessel, they're all part of your network." "Not my network," Chen corrected, that slight smile appearing despite her exhaustion. "Humanity's network. Every person out there has lost something to the Council's manipulations. Family, friends, homes, all sacrificed to maintain their artificial conflicts. Once they understood the truth, choosing sides wasn't difficult." The tactical displays showed more Council ships emerging from quantum space, but something was different about these new arrivals. Their formation was ragged, their responses delayed. And their first action was to open communication channels rather than weapon ports. "They're surrendering," Kizera observed, their secondary heart accelerating with surprise. "The Council's own enforcement fleet is surrendering." "Not to us," Chen said softly. "Look closer." Kizera's enhanced vision zoomed in on the ship identifications. What they saw made both their hearts skip. These weren't just Council ships. They were crewed by members of Kizera's own species. The Voidborn assassins' natural abilities had made them perfect agents for the Council, but those same abilities made them equally effective at seeing through deception. "Your broadcast reached my people," Kizera whispered, their translator struggling to convey their emotion. "They saw the truth as I did." "Better late than never," Chen replied, but her tone was gentle. "Your people were tools, just as humanity was. The difference is what we choose to do now that we understand our own chains." The next 12 hours saw the complete collapse of Council authority in human space. As Kizera's data spread through the quantum net, more revelations emerged. The artificial famines that had driven colonies to war, the sabotaged peace treaties, the assassinations of anyone who came close to exposing the truth. With each revelation, more Council forces switched sides. But it was what happened next that truly amazed Kizera. Chen stood before the combined fleet commanders, human, Voidborn, and former Council allies alike. In the Concordia's main conference chamber, the holoprojector showed similar gatherings on 100 worlds, all watching, all waiting to see what would emerge from the ashes of the old order. "We have an opportunity," Chen began, her voice carrying the weight of history, "not just to tear down the old system, but to build something better." The Council maintained power through division and manufactured conflict. "We will maintain peace through transparency and cooperation." She turned to Kizera, who stood at her side. The Voidborn's abilities made them perfect assassins, but those same gifts, perception, patience, the ability to see through deception, make them ideal guardians of truth. Working together, we can create a system where no shadow government can ever again profit from orchestrated warfare. Kizera stepped forward, their crystalline scales reflecting the chamber's lights. "My people were honored to be chosen as the Council's agents. We will be more honored to help build a galaxy where such agents are no longer needed." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ships across the combined fleet began broadcasting signals of agreement. On 100 worlds, populations that had been manipulated into hating each other for centuries found common cause in building something new. "It won't be easy," Chen warned the assembled commanders. "The Council's influence runs deep, and not all of their agents will switch sides as our friend here did. There will be attempts to restore the old system, to reignite the conflicts they profit from. Then we will stop them," Kizera declared, their translator perfectly conveying their determination. "Not through assassination and shadow games, but through vigilance and truth. My people will use our gifts to protect this new alliance, not to undermine it." The next few months proved them right. Attempted coups were exposed before they could begin. Hidden weapon caches were discovered and destroyed. Economic networks designed to create artificial scarcity were dismantled and replaced with genuine free trade. But it was the small moments that affected Kizara most deeply. Watching former enemies work together to rebuild devastated colonies, seeing their own people step into the light, using their natural abilities to protect rather than eliminate. Understanding, finally, that their centuries of killing had been in service of a lie, and that redemption lay not in ending lives, but in helping to build new ones. 1 year after the broadcast that had changed everything, Kizara stood with Chen on the observation deck of the newly constructed Alliance headquarters, watching ships from 100 worlds move peacefully through Earth's orbital lanes. "Do you ever regret it?" Chen asked quietly, "choosing not to complete your contract that day?" Kizara's inner eyelids flickered as they considered the question. "In 3 centuries of killing, I never failed a contract," they replied finally. "But in choosing not to kill you, I succeeded at something far more important. I helped give birth to something new." Chen's slight smile appeared. "We both did. The question is, what will we build next?" Kizora watched a voidborn ship dock alongside human and former council vessels, their crystalline scales reflecting the light of Earth's sun. "Whatever it is," they said, "we'll build it together." The galaxy would never be perfect. There would always be those who sought power through division and conflict. But as Kizara looked out at the combined fleet, human ingenuity joined with voidborn perception and the reformed remnants of the Council's forces, they understood something their centuries of assassination had never taught them. The strongest changes come not from ending lives, but from transforming them.